There's nothing like a beautiful tree-lined driveway. And this property, it's secluded. You might not even know it's existed. But if you're a family looking for growth, opportunity and plenty of space, this property is going to be for you. In particular, that second house. You'll see why. Today's home offers something really special. You're purchasing two architecturally designed residences on 8,500.
G'day guys, Carl Quested here for another episode of the Real Agent podcast. This one's going to be coming out in video form as well on the YouTube channel. Today I'm super honoured to be joined by none other than Josh Hart from One Agency Launceston. Hey Josh, how you going?
Hey Carl, thanks for having me on. Really looking forward to today.
Yeah, awesome. Look, I'm so stoked to get you on. I first came across you as a real estate agent a good few years ago. It was actually one of my my friends and mentors, Peter Brewer, who actually put me onto you because we were talking about different forms of marketing, and he sort of used you as a bit of a pin-up when it came to video marketing. So I'm going to be really keen to kind of get into some of those details with you as well.
Yeah, and it's crazy as well because Peter and I actually have never met. So we've spoken a lot on social media. We've spoken a lot about video. And social media is like that these days, where you don't meet someone in person, but they already know you and they know what you do and they know what you're about and they know your family and what you love. And that's the scary thing moving on with society these days, is that people go and recommend and refer and connect, but they've got no clue physically who you are. They've only met you in the virtual world. So realistically, that's how Peter and I kind of know each other.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So look, let's get on to your journey, Josh. Now, you knew from a very young age that you wanted to be in real estate. So talk us through how that came about. How did your passion for real estate start?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So I wasn't an academic at school. I was very much loved sport, loved music. Academics, I was a shame on my school, so to speak. Just didn't really have the tenacity. I was terrible at maths, failed maths, but my family was always in business. And I always loved architecture. Got accepted to go to architecture at the University of Tasmania, but then got an opportunity to get to start in a real estate office. And I thought, look, I've never really been a smart scholar, so I can go and flog my guts out for 4 to 5 years and try and work out this whole game, or I can start making some money, learn about architecture and business. With my family had a business as well, so they sort of melded beautifully. And the rest is history. I knew I wanted to do something which was in a business aspect. Loved property from a young age. Like I used to build Lego houses and I used to always look in the real estate guide. So without actually knowing it, the property industry almost found me.
Okay, very interesting. And so like I'm looking around in the background of where you're sat right now, and like I've again followed your Facebook journey of your renovations online, and you really do seem to have that sort of real eye for making room pop. Does that help in your real estate day to day?
Yeah, it certainly does. I think we're just more than a real estate agent these days. The market and the consumer wants that holistic person to help them from start to finish. So I have a lot of people now asking me before they even start doing anything to their property, hey Josh, what should we do? What tips and tricks do you have where we can quickly make this home on a small budget look 10 times better than it currently is? We're living in it. We don't know. We love our home. It's our palace, but will the market actually believe that as well? So me and my fiance, we've renovated a couple of homes now. I've built one as well. So it's really good to have that background understanding of the trade, where I can give them a couple of little sneak peeks and tricks and show them examples as well. We've taken a lot of photos of what we've done in past, and that really helps and gives guidance to someone, a bit of confidence as well.
Sure. And so it was 3 years ago now that you made the switch from Harcourts across to One Agency?
Correct. So 3 years ago, and for me, I had a great apprenticeship. Just like when you're an electrician, plumber, you go through an apprenticeship period. For me, that was 5.5, 6 years, and that was great grounding. I wasn't just thrown out into the industry. I learned all the ropes, became a sponge, and then when I actually went out on my own, I knew exactly what to do. It was still bloody tough. There's no doubt about it, but I had the toolbox and the toolkit, and that was such a big help for me moving forward.
Yeah, and I think I've heard from a couple of people that the Harcourt's process in particular is very, very good
Mm,
at
mm.
taking people with, you know, no background in the industry
Yeah.
and actually building them up into some really high caliber agents as well.
Yeah, it's all about training. I was talking to a really enthusiastic young guy the other day, and he's only been in the industry 10 months. And he's like, I want to become a salesperson now, and I want to go and make this much money, and look, I can do it. And I said, that's all well and good, but let's just have a bit of patience. I don't know if many people on this podcast listen to Gary Vee. He always talks about patience.
Mm.
There's so many people who are enthusiastic in this game. They see other people do it. They think they can go and make $1 million just like that. It doesn't happen like that. I did 6.5 years of training to get to where I am right now. And no one heard about my name. No one knew about me, but I did an apprenticeship. It's almost like the iceberg. You see the iceberg underneath, you only see a little bit at the top. Everyone thinks that you're this overnight sensation, but there's so much pain, grit, late nights, relationship breakups to get to where you're going to be.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's absolutely true. There's, you know, one of the reasons I've started doing these interviews and what I'm really passionate about is finding people that are in the industry, but sort of, you know, not sort of trying to sort of shine the light on these $1 million agents or these people that are, you know, heralded as, and I mean, look, people like Marcus Ciminello, you know, James Tossovan, all these guys are phenomenal agents, and they've, you know, even James Tossovan, I mean, he's been in the industry for 20, 25 years or whatever.
Oh, he's an icon.
You know, he's an icon, but I think for me, what I've really wanted to focus on is shining the light on those people that are, you know, still living the hard yards day to day right now, because I think it's so important for agents to understand that you don't go from zero to Marcus Ciminello overnight. You know, there's a process.
But it's the interesting thing, and everyone sort of forgets this one though. Marcus was actually James's personal assistant for a number of years. And I said that to that young guy the other day. I said, look, you know, I'm selling property with an average median price of $325. That Marcus, he's selling $4 or $5 million properties, but he still had the same training as I. We started as an assistant, got mentored, became that sponge for years and years and years, did all the hard work, and then we were able to go into our necessary market. So very similar courses, although different median prices.
Mm. And so do you think that, it's a conversation I was having with an agent the other day about skill set. Do you think it does require a different skill set to be selling the multi-million dollar, you know, $4 or $5 million homes as opposed to, you know, your $350,000, $400,000 home?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because I think a lot of people, when they go into that $1 million bracket, start feeling a bit fearful or, gosh, am I in the big league now?
Yeah.
Realistically, it's the same process. At the end of this day, we're talking about people. Whether you go and sell a $100,000 home, whether you go and sell a couple of $1 million. And we're in both spaces. So to give you an idea of our marketplace, we'll sell blocks of land at $95,000, $100,000. We'll sell family homes around that $300,000 level mark. We'll be selling 20 to 30 hectare farms between 5 to 700,000. So now we're talking livestock, soil quality, and then we go into sort of the $1 million plus. And in Launceston, that's quite large, prestigious heritage homes. But so my team, we're adverse to such a low price bracket to such a high price bracket in our market. And realistically, it doesn't change. We've got a firm ethos in my company that whether it's a $100,000 home or over a $1 million, we still do our marketing the same. We don't cut corners. Our blocks of land get aerial photography, they get video, they get professional photography, the same as what our 1 million plus home would get. So there's no cutting of corners. I think a lot of people tend to, when they deal with the lesser priced properties, sometimes go, oh, you don't need that, as it's not as prestigious as the higher priced properties. But I think that's a huge mistake in this marketplace across Australia, because realistically, the person who's spending $100,000, that's probably their life savings and their dream. The person who's buying that $1.2, $1.3 million property, they've been very astute, they've worked very, very hard. Both ends are the same person, just in different situations. And we're going to be very, very careful not to judge people. We've had people walk through our door and you would not know how much they've got. And then we've turned to each other and found out and gone, oh my goodness me, how dare we judge someone based on how they look or their appearance. So we've just got to be careful there.
Yeah, and I think that was, for me, when Peter Brewer and I had that conversation, one of the videos he showed me was, it was a property you had listed for something like 250,000 or something like
Yeah.
that, but the video quality was as good as any of the videos that were being done for multi-million dollar properties.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what he used in his presentation was, you know, you guys might not think that this $250,000 house warrants that level of marketing, but this is a guy who's getting results, and this is why he's getting results.
And again, who are we as agents to judge upon that? Aren't we trying to sell that property to a buyer who is going to think it's their palace, and it is going to be their palace? So again, we're just going to be very, very careful how we judge, because we do get cooped in this world of real estate land and these $1 million homes, and look at, you know, the beautiful magazines and all that. But at the end of the day, we're talking about people, and everyone's going to have a different story to tell.
Yeah, for sure. Now, talk to me. I mean, we're obviously talking about the vast range of property that you guys list. Now, talk to me about, what was the address? Is it Rosethorn?
Yeah, Rosethorn Road.
Yeah. How amazing is that place?
Awesome property. So I just launched that last week. Really interesting property because it's a beautiful grand residence on the hill looking over one of the suburbs called Riverside, but it's also got a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, fully fledged house on the same title. So a little bit different to the marketplace because you are getting 2 houses for almost the price of 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I was taken away by the views. You know, it was just, obviously being here in Queensland and on the coast, we're used to seeing, I think, a lot of the beachside houses. You know, but when you see the landscape and the views that you get from that place, it was breathtaking. It's amazing property.
Yeah, and look, we love selling those properties, but then also we love selling the other scale as well. The farms, because you deal with different walks of life, farmers or hobby farmers or people who are downsizing, wanting to live on the land. And then we've got people who are just starting out buying their first home. So we're very, very blessed in our marketplace that we're across the whole board. But that one in Rosethorn, that's something pretty special. And again, we love doing aerial photography and the video with that we do site plans and floor plans. We do the whole sort of spread. And no matter what type of property, everything always happens the same way.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I think one of the things I want to touch on with you as well, Josh, is your website, whyjoshhart.com.
Yeah.
I spent some time having a look on that, and again, massive hats off to whoever your web designer was for that. I think it's a beautifully laid out website, but it works so well as, you know, we talk a lot in the industry about the pre-list kit and, you know, the wow factor before the person comes, you know, on as your vendor. And I think that website is done really, really great at sort of putting yourself as the agent and answering the question of why Josh Hart. So tell us a bit about what went into that creation.
Yeah, it was. We've done that now. That'd be 3 years old, that website. And for me, it was being able to do almost that pre-list kit online. So we've got 2 forms of pre-list. One is a hard version, which we deliver within a couple of hours of that appraisal call coming in. But we also, via text message and email, utilize that website a lot as well. Especially in the early days when people are considering maybe looking at an agent, I just say, look, you know, go to my website, have a look through, and when that time comes, please reach out to me. It's a softer version of that pre-list kit, so to speak. But on all my marketing, that website's there. We've got to remember what the purpose of that website's for. It's not to sell property. People will go to Domain, realestate.com are the 2 main portals for selling property. So we can't go and fight in that space. That is solely there for my branding, being able to, especially for people who are very tech savvy and online savvy, being able to refer back to that, show friends and family. It's an easier way to also do the pre-list kit on a text message. Hey, just go to whyjoshhart.com. So it's a fantastic model to be able to just show my successes, explain about my team, our processes, how we market, and realistically, it amazes me how many agents don't have their own personal website. It's amazing how many people browse online for hours on end, day after day. So to be able to use that link on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google search, that really then leads people to my name.
And I think one of the things that I really noticed on there was that it was very, very focused on answering that question of why use you as an agent. I think a lot of people, when they do their profile websites, quite often they get caught up in, I've got to make this about community. I've got to put my current listings on there. Like, you don't have any of your listings on there because it's not about that. Is that
correct?
Yeah.
And that was purposeful. It's all about our successes. If you want an agent, that is the seller almost. And people also getting to know me and trying to understand me before I actually go and meet them. So in my marketplace, and this is across Australia as well, you've got to have that digital footprint online. People know about you before you know about them.
Mm.
And that whole website's about that. They've done the research on realestate.com in the agent profile sector. They've gone and typed in real estate agents Launceston. They've seen you on signboards. They're going to type your name into Google. That's just from an analytical point of view to direct my name straight to that website and to show what we do, how we do it, and how we go about it.
Sure. Now, one of the things I love that you use in your marketing is you have the quote. Where was it? I think I wrote it down somewhere. You sell a property every 4.3 days. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it's an awesome stat, and I don't think that agents break things down in that kind of sense for a vendor to kind of go, well, shit, that's a lot. You know, that kind of works out to be a heck of a lot.
Yeah, that's become a tagline for me, and it's been such a successful tagline as well. So on every form of marketing we do, that's my tagline. We don't go and offer free appraisals, so to speak. We don't go and talk much about which house we've just sold. We just are consistent about a consistent message. If you look at any big company around the world, they've always got a consistent message for a period of 6 to 12 months. I made a very, very confirmed decision a couple of years ago that I wasn't going to be the person who changes message every single week to try and appease a certain season, you know, regarding Easter or selling in spring or anything like that. Everyone's doing that. I tried to really firm it up based on data, but also stats. There's too many people who go and say things and promise things, but there's no backing of data. So I said, right, well, my teams are going to be about stats. So if someone questions us, we're able to prove it. And that message has brought in so much business for me, because it's all about honesty and it's all about facts. So whether it's on DL drops, on buses, on the internet, on Facebook, on Instagram, anywhere where there's marketing, that's the slogan. Even if you look at my email banners, it's got that message on there.
Sure, absolutely. And so we've caught you, Josh, on a Monday afternoon. We're chatting today. What does your typical week look like? Do you have a very structured type of week where you have periods for prospecting and periods for vendor phone calls? How structured are you in your working week?
My team will laugh if they heard this question right now. I'm going to be really honest and authentic here. It's chaos.
Okay.
When you're writing the numbers which we're writing, I'm very, very blessed. I've got a team of 2 behind me who support and get me out on the road. But realistically, and everyone can relate to this, in real estate, you don't know what's around the corner. We would love the ideal week, and it sounds beautiful on paper, and I wish I had it. I'm sure my fiance Amanda wished I had it as well, because it means that she would get to spend more time with me. But realistically, it just doesn't happen. We try to have in the office on the first half of the day, so anywhere between 8 and 12 o'clock is I'm trying to be in the office or doing stuff with my team. But anything from 12 o'clock onwards, I want to be on the road. That's about as ideal as my week gets. On Monday, we're doing callbacks, confirming open homes. Tuesday, confirming the adverts. Wednesday is sort of a middle week, just preparing for the back end. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's showtime. We do open homes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, continuous 3 times in a week. For a lot of our listings, our average day is quite low. So within 2 to 3 weeks, if we run 3 rounds of 3, we tend to get a result off that. So first half of the week is realistically just chasing, and then the back half of the week is almost selling, so to speak.
Sure. And so do you have your team set up so that you specifically have one person admin, one person prospecting?
Yeah.
Is that how you sort of arrange things?
Yeah, I started by myself, and then within a year, I got my first assistant. And at that time, I was just trying to really work out what my EBU was going to look like. 3 years in, I think I've got it pretty nailed over what's going to complement me first, and then help with my skills, but also my weaknesses. So for me, I'm negotiating, I'm listing. I'm out on the road bringing the business in. Then I've got a buyer manager and then lead sourcer almost in Bradley. So he's really doing the inspections as well alongside me at some of my listing presentations, especially when they're bigger property where they're going to require 2 agents a lot of the time. And then he's also doing a lot of callbacks and chasing for business and following up leads, which when I'm in meetings, he's able to really give that service. Then we've got Carlton. Carlton is very much admin based. So it's his first year of real estate. And he's, again, that's really learning the ropes in that apprenticeship stage of being a sponge. But he's been with me 3 months and taken up our systems just like that. He manages all our admin side of things. So realistically, I don't have to touch paperwork. I'm in giving them something and then going back out onto the road. So we try to keep it a bit like that.
Okay, awesome. And how do you structure keeping those guys motivated? Because I know one of the biggest struggles for a lot of agents is keeping those EBUs motivated and doing what needs to be done. Do you focus on, monetary incentives? You focus on career path, or what's your sort of planned journey with these guys?
Yeah, I'm very blessed because I've come from where they are currently. So I started with nothing, straight out of school, and I just wanted to be a sponge. So I'm able to relate back to them. I've been down that journey as well. I'm not someone who's had an incredible ride, but without the experience and the suffrage behind. So Bradley's been with me just under 2 years. He came from a reception position with another real estate company, and he went straight into sales with me. So he was my right hand, and he just learned everything I did, and really he's that sponge at the moment. Then we've got Carlton. Again, we've got processes and systems, and everything's been mapped out. So we've got a booklet online, which everything which we do is all in writing. So we've been able to go bit by bit, right, this is the process, this is the system, this is the right way of doing it. We're not cutting corners. If he ever needs a bit of assistance, he either calls me up or he refers back to the manual, so to speak. But in regards to processes long term, my expectation for someone who's working beside me is very much 2 to 3 years of learning and really becoming that sponge. After that time, then they should be able to start really listing and selling property and be under the banner of the Josh Hart team. Yes, there's bonuses in place, depending on the position within the company. But I'm very much about mentorship and guidance and being in the cold face. I think there's nothing like being in the cold face. You can put someone into an office. They're not really going to learn much after a couple of years. In real estate, you need to have that person next to you who can really learn off, get guidance off, be supported. It's always nice, especially when you're a junior, and I loved this when I was young. I had someone behind me that if I stuffed up, they were able to help me get back up. They were able to protect me, so to speak. I can't believe some principals go and throw these young agents out into the marketplace and just hope that they're going to become some miracle agent tomorrow. It just doesn't happen. It's like a university degree. So I've really taken on myself that I'm very blessed. I got given an incredible opportunity at a young age. I should be able to pass that on. And I believe all of us is that if we've been given that opportunity, it's the attitude of gratitude. We should be able to pass it on to the next. And we don't have many young agents in Launceston. So for me, I feel it's an opportunity for me to give back to an industry which has given me a lot as well.
Yeah, awesome. And so in terms of the marketing you do, we sort of talked about that, quite a bit. Is there sort of one marketing activity or one sort of thing that you can really say this was the defining moment that changed the direction of how we've grown?
Yeah, realistically, it'd probably be 3 things. Firstly, it was consistency, like what we mentioned about that consistent message.
Yeah.
So last year, when we didn't have the 4.3 days on a website called Rate My Agent, I was Launceston's most recommended agent. So on all my marketing, it's Josh Hart is Greater Launceston's most recommended agent. And each time there was a bit of marketing, there'll be a new testimonial. So consistency and patience is one. Secondary would be the utilisation of video and social media. We're in a market which not many people really harnessed those new mediums. They're a bit scared and daunted by it. So again, we were consistent with it. We just didn't do a couple of postings and then forgot about it for 6 or 8 months. A couple of times per week, we would put something on Instagram, on our Facebook business page, but also every month we would at least do one self-promotion in the paper. And again, that advertising was consistent. we would go and also put a certain portion of what we earned back in to marketing. So it was anywhere between 10 and 20% in my first couple of years, but
Awesome.
that really created a really firm base of consistency where we now became more of a household name than an unknown. Most agents around town, when they get heaps of traction, they stop marketing. My whole rule and premise that we were consistent no matter how much business was coming in, because the moment you take away from marketing and branding yourself, the moment the leads are going to dry up in about 2 to 3 months' time. On month one, you think you're doing awesome. You go, oh, all these leads are coming
That's
in,
it.
and you list, and sell. And then you go, oh, hang on, where's all these leads gone? Because there's someone else in your marketplace who's being more consistent than you. And that's a big flaw in this industry. We're very all about the caffeine hit. Have a coffee, spike up, heaps of marketing, we get enough business and we drop down again. The number one rule, consistency.
Yeah, awesome. That's some great tips. So you mentioned there about Rate My Agent, and I think there's been some good and there's been some bad. People, I think, a bit worried about anyone, any new platform that comes into the industry. How do you guys deal with the disruptors? And I use the quotation marks because there's so many different forms of disruption. And I just wonder, how do you guys sort of look at Open Agent and these different platforms and Purple Bricks and things like that?
Yeah, embrace it. If
awesome.
We're worried about what's happening now, my fiance's in tech. She's got a company based out of the US. I'm very blessed. I see a lot before it hits market. What is coming is very, very scary in regards to AI and design, and also the data around consumers and what these bigger companies are going to know about us. Honestly, if you're worried about what's happening now, give it 2 to 3 years and you won't have a job.
So what do you... Yeah, absolutely. And look, I totally agree. Peter and I have talked about this at length about the agents which are embracing technology versus those which are, I guess, just shunning the idea of any disruption and saying, well, that's not Uber. It doesn't really matter. But we talked about the relationship, and I think there's always going to be a need for that person to manage the relationship. And it's just about finding the new way of real estate, right? It's about there's going to be a new way of doing business. Yeah.
I think if we come back to, you mentioned Purple Bricks and Open Agent. Something I heard many, many years ago, I think it was Marcus Chiminella who said it when he reconstructed his whole database. He had every single person on there, and then he went through it bit by bit, and he portioned out a certain demographic and segment he wanted to focus on. We've got to take that premise and bring it into each of our own markets. We are relatable and authentic and transparent to a certain demographic which are going to relate with us and want to do business with us. It is not going to be everyone. And you hear everyone ranting about Purple Bricks and Open Agent, all these people commission cutting and all that. They probably don't want to do business with you. Don't try and force yourself onto them. If they want a cheaper alternative, go crazy, because it's like someone goes and shops at Target, and just like someone who goes and shops at David Jones, they want a different experience and they want a different value of product. My team, we've got a very, very high rate of commission compared to most of our competitors around. I have a lot of people who expect me to go and drop my commission the moment I go into that sort of environment. I just won't. If I miss out on that business, so be it. They're not someone who respects my value, our systems, our approach, and that's okay. That's up to them. They can go to the cheap alternative. I'm not going to go and cut my fee just to be competitive, because I'll have someone who wants to work with me, trust me. Everything I say, they'll believe. They'll work with me, not against me, and they'll appreciate the fee and the service I provide. I prefer to work with people who actually enjoy working with me and want to work with me and are going to be long-term clients and almost friends in a way, rather than someone who's trying to cut me at my knees. So I think a lot of agents in the industry have got to really be aware of who do they want to be in their space. Do you want to be a commission cutter? Go crazy. If you want to be someone who is highly regarded and known to be a little bit more expensive, then act like that. Don't try and be something to everyone, because at the end of the day, not everyone's going to like you. And I think in this world of real estate, again, we want everyone to love us and we want to be the most likable person on the planet. We're all different. We're all human, and that's what makes us very special.
That's an awesome answer. Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. That makes so much sense. So you mentioned there before that you're very much into tech and you're obviously
Yeah.
finger on the pulse. What are some of the apps or tools or things that you are seeing come into play now that are making your business more efficient?
Yeah, regarding efficiency, we use Facebook Messenger a lot. So we've got little groups and chats for our team, but also a lot of our clients reach out through us on Facebook Messenger, but also through the Messenger service through Pages as well. I've seen that go up at an amazing rate compared to a couple of years ago. Clients are really feeling like that's a way of connecting with their agent these days. We use a tool called HomePass to log in all our open home attendees, and then automatically they get a text message with an online brochure. We love using a tool on there where you can go and do group messaging through text message. So alert people when there's a price change in the property, when a property's just gone from such as a fixed date sale or auction to a price, or whether we're getting offers on that property. Again, really, really quick, really connective, without harassing the consumer, but able to provide that extra little bit of value or information just to give them a nudge to say, hey, are you there or are you not? From a company point of view, we use Slack, which is again another instant messaging service just to let the whole team know what's being listed, what's being sold. I have Skyped clients before who are overseas. That's always been very, very good. There's an incredible amount of technology out there. You just got to really work out what works for your team though, because there is a lot out there which does become sometimes a bit daunting.
For sure. So what about Snapchat? Are you guys embracing Snapchat? Do you see that as kind of a miss for marketing right now, or something that you'll revisit later?
Yeah, it's something which we're going to revisit later. Love Snapchat. Amanda loves it. She uses it personally. For my team at the moment, from a business perspective, we're more focusing on Instagram. That's more sort of an insight into my life, my personal life. And so people can relate to me and understand me and see me more as a person rather than a real estate agent. And then we use Facebook Pages in the business side of that. And the reason why is because of the advertising and how much scope and how much reach for really good cost. And that's something we love, especially with our videos. We're able to really put our videos out there and get people talking about them, and as well as selling the property. It's also getting our name out there and our quality and level of marketing. So people go, hang on, like you mentioned about Rosefort, and you said, hey, that's really, really cool. I love those views. I've had people come up to me and say, when I sell my property, I'm going to use you because I saw your videos on Facebook. That's something which a lot of people forget about, that there's that subliminal advertising, which we do. And on someone's Facebook wall, if they see it over a period of 6 months, all our sort of videos pop up, whether they're just browsing or engaging or sharing to a friend, realistically, our name keeps them cropping up there.
Yeah, definitely. And look, it's interesting because I think my niece, I was chatting to her the other day, and she was 14 now, and I said, why aren't you kids using Facebook? Like, what's wrong with Facebook?
Yeah.
And she said, oh, look, you've got to understand, Facebook to us is like LinkedIn to you. Like, it's just it's one removed from what we want to do, and I think there's a bit of a change in that demographic that don't want to put all of their information out there. They want to consume, but they don't necessarily want to share to the level that Facebook does. And I think that's where the interest in Snapchat comes in, is that they can consume content, but not necessarily leaving it out there for everyone to see when they're sharing it.
Yeah, Snapchat is something which we have investigated. It's very much like Instagram stories right now. Like I said, it's something which we are watching and monitoring, but it's also, you could be consumed by so much social media. We've just spoken about Facebook, we've just spoken about Instagram, we've just spoken about Snapchat. There are so many other opportunities out there, but realistically, we're just got to look at where the numbers are at the moment, and also who our target demographic is. Because you're completely right, there's a certain demographic right now which is very engaged in Snapchat, but to see if there's going to be a business proposition in there long term from a real estate point of view, it's something we're watching very, very closely. And depending if they do change a couple of things in their model, it's probably going to be whether we jump on that or not.
And great having your fiance that loves the platform, because you get to watch the changes and work out exactly when is the right time to dive back in.
Yeah, we love it. And also, it's, you got to look at your markets. So in Tasmania, Instagram and Facebook are very, very large. Snapchat is not as large from a business side compared to a lot of other social media platforms. Then you've also got to look at I'm sorry, Twitter. That was the one I was thinking about. But Twitter was huge in the mainland states. Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, especially from a news point of view, in regards to how many tweets were put out from Tasmania, it was very, very small. There was a lot of people saying, jump onto Twitter, especially in the very early days. I just didn't see a value in that and never really kicked off. So again, I was just sitting back. If it started to really hit the ground running, I was going to jump on that. But you've also got to just be very, very careful where you put your time, money, and attention into.
Absolutely, because I think there's still, I mean, my business personally, you know, we're still in direct mail and telemarketing, and those services still have a heck of a lot of weight. I mean, we're generating appraisal meetings and face-to-face meetings on a daily basis from what are considered old school methods, but they're still yielding results. So all the time they're yielding results, they're worth, you know, investing in.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about social media and video and a lot of online mediums right now. We still do letterbox drops. I see a huge value in those still. We still do written cards for our clients when they purchase or sell a property. There's a value in a handwritten note or card. So we're just got to remember there's all these new technologies and mediums out there, and they've got to really be utilised to our advantage. But we've also got to remember the old-fashioned way. There's a special connection there, which a lot of people still relate to, depending on their age. You just got to remember that. Play to your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh, who are some of the people both in real estate and out of real estate that you sort of follow, look up to, or sort of seek advice from?
It's changed over my whole real estate career. So I've been doing it nearly 10 years now. And I've always been a firm believer. You've got to be the dumbest person in the room, and you want to be surrounded by very, very smart people, because it's all about energy. You learn off their confidence, you learn off their energy. They give you mentorship, they give you guidance. So I've been very, very blessed over my 9 and a bit years of real estate to have a lot of people who have impacted on my life, but also in regards to my technique, my tools of the trade, and my real estate career. Externally, Richard Branson, very, very, very early on, I read his books. I remember when we were down on holiday, I'd always read his books. Just the entrepreneurial nous, just to go and do it and not be afraid, and to actually be a little bit, cause a little bit of havoc, make people talk about you. Any publicity is good publicity. And
being a bit cheeky, he's got a very cheeky way about him.
Be respectful, but I think you can push the boundaries a little bit and make people sort of stand up and go, "Oh, I'll never do that." That will make people talk. So I've probably really perfected how to push boundaries without going too far, or I'm actually doing things the wrong way or really upsetting people. So he was a huge influence on me early on. Gary Vaynerchuk is someone who I really look up to now regarding his podcast and his Gary V show, just from a social media, but also just about the things of patience, consistency. Everyone expects things to happen overnight. They don't. Your attitude and what you do on a day-to-day basis is going to be a true reflection of what you become long-term. It's all about the grind. Unfortunately, there's just no magic bullet, no golden pill. You've just got to work hard. And I hear so many people, especially younger people, coming to me and saying, "Josh, what's the secret? Is it your CRM? Is it your social media? What do you do in the morning? Is it the 5 a.m. club?" And all those are relevant. But at the end of the day, it's hard work. Whether you start at 5 a.m. in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. Like I used to start at 7 o'clock in the morning and finish at 2 a.m. in the morning. That was how I operated for the first 2 years. So everyone's going to have a different way to doing it, but there's one key, and it's hard work. And there's no way you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, awesome. So what can we expect next from Josh Hart and your team? Josh, what can we see next?
Yeah, we're in a very, very interesting market in Tasmania. So we've sort of come back onto the map. We're in a very, very bad position a number of years ago economically. And now a lot of people are seeing great value in our business, in our state. So my business is sort of really jumping on board now. It's all about service, all about speed, really being consistent in our marketing, being consistent in our message. We don't have to go and do anything groundbreaking. It's about consistency and a really, really polished presentation of who we are, being our authentic self. I'm not trying to be someone we're not. We're definitely looking at different technologies. I see there's a huge way forward with VR and Matterport, and the way consumers are going to interact and do inspections with properties long term. I think that's something to watch. From databasing, I think there's a huge thing regarding AI. I think there's a huge focus there and something we're watching quite intently at the moment with that, especially with a couple of key businesses. That's the two areas we're really focusing on, but it's just being consistent. You know, we've worked so hard to get to where we are. We want to keep on pushing those boundaries and envelopes, but also we don't want to forget about what we did, where it got us in the first place. And I think that's what happens in a lot of, and I'm guilty of that. I start going on this brand new tangent, but I forget what actually got to me there in the first place. So it's being very, very humble, remembering where you came from, but also not forgetting to be progressive and try and be a leader as well. It's that balance. You've got two areas and they're going in opposite directions, and you've got to try and be like magnets and put them back together. And you know, managing a team, well, if you're any principal or business owner, you know how much fun that is. And my team's incredible. And each and every day they test me and push me and question me, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I just love doing that. So the other thing which I'm really looking forward to is their growth. I've got, you know, this is crazy, Carl. My average age of my team, I've got Carlton, he's 19, Brad, he's 21, and I'm 27. So the average age of my team's around about 22.
Awesome.
Which is ridiculous to think about. So I am really wanting to focus and see where those two guys go in the next couple of years. Because, you know, again, I think as a principal or as a successful agent, we've got to remember, one day we're not going to be number one. One day we're not going to be that peak performer. So you've got to have an exit strategy, but also you've got to remember that people are going to become better than you. And it's a fact of life. And there's too many people who don't want people to succeed. And there's too many people who go, no, you just stay right there. I'm always going to be better than you. And I'm going to restrict you from doing what you're best at. For me, and I've said this to my team so many times, that rule is completely off the table. They are going to be better than me one day. I want them to be better than me. So if I can just give them that ability to grow, they'll surpass me. They'll find someone else. I've got no doubt about it. But if I can help with their journey, that's the most important thing to me.
Awesome, Josh. Well, look, I've taken up enough of your time already. Thank you so much for sharing your journey to this point. I can't wait to check in a few more years and sort of see where things are by then.
No, thank you so much, Carl. And hopefully to the viewers who are watching this video, hopefully I've given them something which makes them go, right, we can add that to their business or certainly assist with their service. For us, we're in such an incredible industry, but we've all got to remember to share and to really assist and help each other because that's what it's all about.
Awesome, Josh. Well, thank you again, mate. Really appreciate it and look forward to catching up in person soon.
No, pleasure. Thanks, Carl. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Josh.